Hi, Michael Force here with Rise, the digital marketing mastery course here. We're going to talk about really the kind of the $1 million marketing mindset that you really need to have to really break it down so you can really understand how powerful marketing is. Marketing is everything. You have been marketed to since you were born, whether you really knew it or not. You've been walking through sales funnels, whether it be Disneyland or the grocery store. If you've ever wondered why there is all the eggs, milk, and cheese at the back of the grocery store, it's because they want you to walk through all the expensive aisles where all the processed food is that's much more profitable for them. They don't make as much profit on lettuce and milk. They make far more profit on the processed items. So we're going to talk all about that and really get you to the right mindset around marketing. If you've ever been to Disneyland, you know what it's like to be taken, in different ways. We're going to talk about how powerful marketing is, from colors to the words you use to everything. You've been watching commercials your whole life, and you'll see it in a whole new light now that we're going to educate you on marketing and how powerful it is. But let's get right with these $1 million marketing mindsets, and let's get into it. And I'll see you on the inside of lesson number 2. Hello, Michael Force here again. Welcome to lesson 2 of the Rise Digital Marketing Mastery course here. This is the $11 million marketing mindsets that you're going to want to master here. So let's jump into it here. So again, why is it important to learn these mindsets, and what role will they play in the success of your business? Well, as we previously discussed, the mindset you adopt about business and success, the way you think about it, will determine exactly how you approach it. If you have the wrong ideas about marketing or hold the wrong expectations, you are certain to make grave and very expensive mistakes during the course of operating your business. Now, regarding the 12 marketing mindsets, think about them as preset ideas or frames that will help you look at the concept of marketing in a certain way. When it comes to marketing, adopting the right mindsets are absolutely crucial to implementing marketing in the correct manner. You'll also want to keep in mind that these mindsets are the first necessary condition on the road to marketing success, and without them, nothing else will fall into place. So, towards the end, let's go ahead and dive into these 11 marketing mindsets. We're going to learn in this program and understand what they mean to our business and to our marketing success. Now, marketing mindset number 1, marketing is the key moneymaker in your business. It turns out that most activities done in business, regardless of their nature, cost something, whether in terms of time, money, personnel, etc. However, you should realize that most of those everyday business activities do not actually make you money. And again, they cost us something as well. But when it comes to marketing, when implemented correctly, of course, it is one of the very few business activities that actually makes us money. In fact, marketing is the key money maker, the most important weapon in our arsenal to generating profits. Now, you may define marketing from many different aspects that include getting customers, doing sales calls, posting advertising, and creating upselling opportunities. And in fact, you'll lump all these marketing activities in your mind. You'll notice that the one key concept that glues them together is getting customers, and this is exactly what you must focus on a great amount of your time and energy upon, specifically in order to make money for your business. When you start looking at your business, and particularly at your financial success of your business with this mindset, you will see that your everyday priorities will instantly change. Your framing and perception of your business will take on a new dimension. And what you used to see as an important won't be so important anymore. And what you used to avoid will now become absolutely crucial. To help you adopt this mindset and make it stick, I'd like you to make a connection between two concepts, marketing and money. So I'd like you to really focus on visualizing the connection between a huge dollar sign and the term marketing in your mind right now. I want you to visualize this connection over and over again throughout your entire day, at least in the beginning, to help this mindset creep into your subconscious and make it stick. In addition to this, I want you to visualize the term marketing before the big dollar sign, since you must do this marketing part right, which will then lead to money. I really cannot overemphasize the importance of this connection, of visualizing marketing success and connecting it to the biggest dollar sign possible. In the end, if you're not doing the marketing part right, if you're not focusing on it, then you can really kiss the dollar signs goodbye. Marketing mindset number 2, marketing is not something you do once, it's an ongoing process. Because most of us didn't grow up learning about how to own and run a business, and because we didn't grow up learning how important marketing it is, we grew up thinking that it's just one of the many things we do in business. That is probably just as important to say taking out the trash or buying a computer and making a product, but it's not. Marketing is the most important factor for generating profits. As we are growing up, we unconsciously learned that marketing is about completing little tasks in mini projects, such as running an ad, creating a brochure, or putting up a website. In reality, though, marketing is a living, breathing, and growing organism that develops over time. Just as you must tend to your children and give them proper diets in order for them to grow completely and healthily, you must invest the necessary time and resources into marketing and understand that it's an ongoing process, that there is no end to this process. The human body grows and develops through a series of psychological, emotional, and mental processes, and you must view marketing as a sort of a living thing which you must develop and build over time as well. Now, the concept of marketing starts from very rudimentary aspects like running an ad or putting a video or a website online, and it leads up to large and complex systems where customers go through multiple steps or hoops, which we call a sales funnel, from the beginning of their meeting with you all the way to purchasing your products. It's a big spectrum, and again, it's something that grows and develops over time. So I'd like you to start thinking about marketing not as something you do once, but as something which is ongoing and long-term process that will be getting involved in, learning about, and growing with as long as you're operating your business. Marketing doesn't begin with writing advertisements, it doesn't begin with making a website, and it doesn't begin with selling. Marketing begins with understanding the needs and wants of your customer. So, if marketing is the number one factor in making you profit and leading your business to success, and if marketing begins with you understanding the particular needs and wants of your customers, then it must follow that success and profit potential of your business begins with understanding the customer and getting to know exactly what they need and want. In general, when you look or when you think about certain people, you know who've already created businesses, where do most of them start? Do they start with getting inside the heads of their customers and really understanding them? No. Instead, most people start in business with some type of idea that they had and want to use to make money. Or they start with something like, an idea, product, or service that they think is cute or clever, or they even start with something they saw someone else do. What they do next is try to mold the customer into buying the product or service instead of molding the product or service based on the customer. Rarely do you see people start businesses by digging deeply into the minds and psyches of their customers, learning what they really want. The success of your business will start by looking into the world and finding a segment of the population that has a certain need, a want, a desire, a problem, a fear, a frustration, anything that will motivate them, and then going to work to fulfill their needs and solve their problems. That's how it's done. In particular, marketing involves research and communication. It involves persuasion, language, images, and symbols. It also involves the multiple steps that customers must go through. These steps must include meeting you, getting to know you, trusting you, and being persuaded by you, and finally making the decision to buy from you. All of these steps and hurdles must be based on a particular foundation. Many people will think of this foundation as consisting of hard work, self-motivation, intuition, and more. But they don't think about it going out and doing what's necessary to really get inside the head of their customers. Now, we could do an entire program about how to understand our customers and how to get inside their heads, getting to the point where we can really understand their needs, wants, and desires. And at some point, I may do this especially since we think often that we understand others, but we'll go into shock when we find out we don't have a clue about them. But for now, it'll be enough to say that we really don't understand other people as well as we think we do. No matter how much you think you may know about your customers, you must learn more. You must get inside their heads and into their spirits. Again, we don't understand the needs as well as we think, and we make huge mistakes when we create advertisements, sales pitches, websites, and marketing material based on our intuition, on guesses and predictions rather than on the hard facts, research, and most importantly, on living through their own experiences. To understand your customers, you must go out and meet them. You must talk to them, interact with them, and ask them questions, probe them, and find out what's behind the social mask to get to the root of their thinking processes and motivations. Moreover, if you have the resources to do so, you should always attempt to gather primary information from your customers, meaning you can implement surveys, disperse questionnaires, conduct interviews, and gather focus groups containing a valid sample of your target audience. Regardless of how you do it, when you're able to do this, when you're able to get inside the minds of your customers and understand their emotions, feel in their heart what is driving them, this is when you'll become a real marketer. The marketing mindset number 4 is customers hate to be sold, but they love to buy. There's an old saying that comes from the sales, and although it's cute, it's profoundly accurate. Customers hate to be sold, but they love to buy. When you think about trying to be sold on something, whether it's a product or service or even a point of view, the simple idea of being pushed into a decision will cause you to raise your defensive walls, even if you know that what you're being sold is purely in your interests. Just the idea of having someone sit across from you or on the other end of the phone trying to convince you or persuade you, using tricks, tactics, or techniques will most likely make you feel emotional pressure and make you want to run away or just buy something at that particular moment simply to release the tension. On the other hand, when you think of going out and buying things that you desire to buy, you probably perk up since this means shopping, which, by the way, is the number 1 preferred activity across the modern world. When you go out and plan on buying things, it's about consuming and getting stuff, about owning more things and gaining more possessions, which we unconsciously associate with power and status. So again, we hate to be sold things, but we absolutely love to buy them. What follows from this mindset is starting to think on an increased level. And instead of trying to sell things to people, instead of trying to convince them and talk to them into buying what you're selling, you must make them want to buy from you. What we should do is give them what they need so they can convince themselves to buy. Doing this goes back to mindset number 3, really understanding the needs of your customer. When you understand their particular wants, needs, desires, and fears, you will gather valuable information that will allow you to make your customers want to buy from you. It will also allow them to feel the success that comes from finding a solution. Let them know exactly how solving a problem or fulfilling a passion, and then give them what they need so they can do exactly that, so they can love to buy. Now, this is not something that is intuitive to most people, especially when they're new to marketing and sales. And this is because we don't take time to think about what it's like to be the other person. Instead, we just dive right in and go to work. In this case, reflection and consideration can really help. So we're not going to sell, we're not going to push, and we're not going to be hucksters here. We are going to do is understand the other person, enter their spirits, put our ego and self aside to look at the world through their eyes, through the prism of their wants, needs, and desires. This way, we're able to give them what they need to convince themselves to buy, and throughout the process, we're going to do it in a mindful and ethical way that helps all. Marketing mindset number 5, marketing is about trigger action. So, we've defined marketing roughly as getting customers, in addition to all those different activities that we do to get those customers. The next step is to understand that marketing is about triggering action. But what exactly is triggering and action in this context? Well, let's first start with triggering. According to the latest scientific studies, it turns out that most of the decisions we make are done unconsciously, even though it appears to us that we're making our decisions consciously and with full awareness. But what exactly do I mean by this? Well, the brain scientists have now been delving deep into the processes of our brains and observing how they work. Basically, they've hooked up electrodes to our brains and found that decisions are being made inside the mind, inside the brain, somewhere. But what's really interesting is that these decisions were made several seconds before we consciously came to a decision and said, okay, I've made up my mind and made a decision. It's kind of spooky to realize that most of our decisions are not made consciously, that there is something going on below our level of awareness that makes these decisions for us. So how is it that we get the illusion that we're the ones making the decision? It turns out that our minds are also doing this thing called psychologists and scientists called confabulation. Confabulation is when your mind does something and then without actually being aware of it, you make up a story for why you did it. So it seems that most of us are walking around having our inner animal or inner chimpanzee that's making a bunch of decisions for us, and then we confabulate a story as to why we made the decision, justifying it so that we feel rational, sane, and in control. Now, when we're talking about triggering action in marketing, what we mean here is giving the inner animals and chimpanzees in our target market what they're looking for, and not necessarily trying to appeal to them through logic and rationality. Triggering action is about giving those inner parts what they need to make the decision. So the decision is made, and then the action is taken. Now, regarding another interesting point, when we talk about marketing, we talk about persuasion and getting people to buy stuff. We start going into the vicinity of ethics, of course. Basically, every single marketing decision is an ethical dilemma of some sort, because the more you learn about marketing and sales, the more you realize that by becoming a professional, by becoming an expert in these areas, you in essence are becoming a master of manipulation. So, in that dark way, you actually have some dark powers when you get really skilled in triggering certain actions, if you choose to use your powers in that way. Therefore, I recommend that you very carefully consider every marketing decision you make, every word you say, and every action you take. And remember that the means and ends you utilize can be used for evil. So don't ever use them in this way. Basically, don't use these skills simply to meet your own needs. The only time you should use these powerful tools to trigger an action is when there is no doubt that it's in your prospect's best interest to do so. Now, Robert Cialdini, a doctor in psychology and marketing, as well as a well-known author, wrote an amazing book called Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion. In it, he talks about the mechanisms of persuasion and the makeup of certain buttons we have that can be used to push inside of us to trigger certain decisions and actions automatically. In particular, he said that if you know that it's in your customer's best interest for them to make a particular decision, then you really owe it to them to use all the tools that you can use to persuade them. So in marketing, we must focus on triggering certain actions in our prospects, but we must do it so in a conscious, ethical way, where we're doing it only when offering something of great value, and only when the customer is getting their needs met. So in the end, it's still about triggering. Now, of course, this brings us to our second point, action. What exactly is the action in this context? Of course, by action, we don't just mean any random action. We don't want our prospective customers to just stand up and walk across the room or wave their hand in front of their face. Now, marketing mindset number 6, everything is a test, everything. Now, I learned this mindset from Jay Abraham, the modern guru of marketers, and it's been one of the most important mindsets I've learned, and also happens to be one of my favorites. Everything is a test, everything. We humans like to think that whatever we do surely will work, though we may not realize that most of the time when we try something, it never works out the way we expect it to. This is because of our egos and self-image, which are all caught up in this mindset of whatever we do will work. But we don't like to look at the reality that what we thought was going to work didn't work at all. So we forge ahead with something even though it didn't work, but never admitting this to ourselves, we beat our heads against the wall and ultimately waste precious time and resources. Nowhere in this more painful, expensive, or damaging than in business, and especially in marketing. Now, to illustrate, you must create a name for your business, website, or ad that just doesn't work. And even more importantly, you may continue to use that name or run that ad, and in the end, not only do you lose valuable resources, but you also lose the ability of doing something that could have worked better. In this way, you're compounding your failure rather than compounding your success. And when you compound failure or loss, that's when you'll wake up in the future bummed out that you found yourself in such a bad place. On the other hand, when you adopt the mindset that everything is a test, you'll put up a web page or run an advertisement, and with the test mindset, you'll be watching it like a hawk to see if it's working. So when you approach everything in business and marketing as a test, you realize that much of it probably not going to work. Most of the marketing tests that we run inside of our business here simply don't work. But the ones that do get put into the system and used over and over and over, which are then developed into winning systems and formulas, they work. Therefore, marketing mindset number 6 says that everything is a test, and it's an imperative to remember that this every time you put into a new marketing piece, document, or sales process in place. Make sure you watch it and measure it very closely to see if it performs. If it doesn't, throw it out. Don't let your pride or ego prevent you from shoving it to the side, regardless of what it may mean to your image. But if it does perform, make it a part of the system and then continue to keep building your marketing process. Now, marketing mindset number 7, run your marketing like a business. So, what does it mean to run something like a business? Well, you've probably heard the term before. Whenever you run something like a business, you usually take it very seriously. You plan in detail, measure certain criteria, and put systems and processes in place to make sure that everything works the way it's supposed to. Unfortunately, though, most people run their marketing through their intuitions rather than running it like a business. In the reality of business, your marketing activities and all the things that revolve around getting customers are the most important activities in your business. So, of course, you should be running your marketing like a business. Besides, if there was ever a part of your business to be run like a business, it's marketing. You should be investing lots of time, resources, effort, and attention around those activities, specifically focused on getting you customers, more so than any other part of your business. You should also have more checks and balances, more processes, and more dashboards and measurement systems in place. Now, in the end, you just got to pay more attention to marketing. Remember, your marketing activities are the most important part of getting your business customers and making money. So start running your marketing like a business. Marketing mindset number 8, understand your prospective customer better than they understand themselves. So we talked earlier about getting inside the mind of your customer. Well, this mindset really formalizes the idea and will drive you to a new level of excellence. When you seek to understand your prospective customer better than they understand themselves, it causes you to become an expert, a professional, and in the end, a master manipulator, manipulating for the good of the customer, of course. Now, you've got to become an expert at understanding your customer, and not just superficially, not just on the surface, not just guessing what they want and simply relying on your intuition and asking them a couple of questions, hearing the answers you want to hear, and then making the pitch. But you must really dive deep inside of their desires, their fears, their fantasies, their aspirations, and find the pictures that they're making in their mind to learn the words they use to describe the situation. Figure out exactly what they're imagining themselves to be in the future. Understanding exactly what they're doing inside of their minds and with their emotions. As previously mentioned, especially when people are being sold something, they put up defensive walls. One way to lower these walls when playing the marketing game is finding a way to gain their trust. Doing this will depend on which particular marketing activity you're dealing with. For example, for your website, you should include bona fide testimonials as well as a list of clients, partners when you can. This will lower the customer's guard and get them to be more open to buying your product or service, since they are now more prone to trust you. The name of the game is knowing them better than they know themselves. Gaining their trust will be the one way to do this. When you understand your prospective customer better than they understand themselves, you'll be able to communicate with them better than anyone else. You'll be able to persuade them better than anyone else. You'll be able to create products for them better than anyone else. And ultimately, you'll be able to build deep and long-lasting relationships so you can offer them more and more products and services down the line, allowing you to build profitable lifetime relationships. Marketing mindset number 9, successful marketing is ultimately a successful marketing system and sequence. So far, we've learned that marketing is an ongoing process and not an event with a start and an end. Well, as you implement these processes over time, it will ultimately become a system and then a sequence, much like you've already been familiar with Digital Altitude. We're going to do exercises in this program showing you exactly how this works. But for now, let's just say that you want to build a machine that allows your customers to get consistent, predictable interactions which lead to consistent, predictable results from coming to you and interacting with your business, with your website, with your products and services. Just like we do here with digital altitude. Now, just like you can go get the same burger at any McDonald's in the world, and just like you can get the same cup of coffee from Starbucks anywhere in the world, you want to build a marketing system so that a customer can come to you and get a consistent experience when learning about you, your products, your services, and why they need to invest, why they need to choose you. Okay, so now we're ultimately doing all of this, building a system, a sequence, a script around the interactions so that your customers have a consistent, predictable experience every single time they interact with you and come across your business. Now, marketing mindset number 10, the success of your marketing is in proportion to the perceived value that you create for your customers. The success of your marketing is in proportion to the perceived value that you create for your customers. So, what is value anyways? In general, we compare the value of things we get to our experiences in the past. We also compare them to other options that are available. And then we do the math, trying to figure out what things are worth in order to make a decision. Now, it also turns out that humans are absolutely horrible at understanding what something is worth, as well as estimating the real value of things. This is why the perceived value you create is vital to marketing success. So let me explain this again. The process of your marketing is in proportion to the perceived value that you create for your customers. It's not enough to just have a product or service and say, come buy. In this day and age, there are way too many choices, far too much noise, and just too many options and distractions. What customers want in order to make a decision is massive value, and then more value, and more value. Your customers will undoubtedly be extremely demanding, and you must take this into consideration when creating the value that comes from your product or service. So, you need to translate the value of what you're offering. You need to show them how it works in comparison to other choices. You need to demonstrate what's going to do for them and their lives. And then you need to connect all the dots and show them exactly how it's going to solve their problems. Again, the success of your marketing is in proportion to the perceived value that you create for your customers. Marketing mindset number 11. I am now a marketer, not just a business owner. We started down the trail in this first session, and now we're bringing it all the way home. I am now a marketer, not just a business owner. So from now on, when people ask you what you do, I want you to answer, I'm a marketer and I own a business. I'm serious about this. Answer, I'm a marketer and I own a business. Not only will this answer start shifting your mindset at an unconscious level, but it will also cause you to begin developing your skills as a marketer. The mindset is related to the first of the 11 marketing mindsets in which I asked you to visualize the big dollar sign to the term marketing, to constantly think about them in your minds, to link them together, and understand that the big dollar sign will only come out of good marketing. In a similar way, you must now identify yourself as a marketer, not just a business owner. By the way, when you give your answer to what you do, you should notice the response of other business owners to your answer, because they will all say something along the lines of, oh, that's great, I need help with marketing. You will definitely notice how many people are not just paying attention to it. Now, finding your customers where they are, not where you want them to be, and don't ever expect them to find you. Finding customers where they are, not where you want them to be, and don't ever expect them to find you. When I say find customers where they are, I mean where they are both physically and psychologically. So you need to go out and find them where they are, not where you want them to be. And you need to talk to them where they are, not where you want them to be. Don't try to make a sales meeting with someone at a time and place convenient for you. Go to them. Find out where they are and where they go. You also need to speak to your prospects in their language. You need to behave in a way that makes them comfortable with who you are, because you're meeting them where they are. When we ask customers to come to us, when we don't want to meet them where they are, at the places they are hanging out, we usually fail. Understand that you will be much more influential in persuading your prospects when you meet them in locations they're comfortable in, since at those particular locations they tend to lower their guard. Those defensive walls I talked about when they're meeting you. Remember that we're not living in the idealistic world where people have nothing better to do than come and find us so they can give us their money. In today's world, we're becoming more and more distracted, more and more overwhelmed than we have ever been before. And if we ever hope to be successful in business, we have to go out and find those people where they are, get in front of them, speak to them, their language, and at their level of sophistication. And we should never expect prospects to come to us. Expecting people to find us is a leftover vestige of having a job, of that job mindset where we show up and someone comes to us in order to give us work. So find customers where they are, not where you want them to be, and don't expect them to find you. All right, so let's do our exercise, shifting your marketing mindset. So really, you want to be able to have an exercise in front of you with the title Shifting Your Marketing Mindset at the top. Remember, your mindset will determine how you perceive, think, decide, and act. And now that you've learned these 11 marketing mindsets, it's important to understand which of them needs to be considered carefully to shift your mindset so you can succeed in your future as a marketer. In particular, I'd like you to answer the following 3 questions. Question number 1. Where have you had a mindset in the past that prevented you from achieving business and financial success? Use the mindsets we just learned for clues and give us as much detail as possible. Number 2, which marketing mindset do you think will make the most difference to your future? If you choose to implement it in your life and in your business, why? And then finally, number 3, what will you do differently in your future now that you've learned the 12 marketing mindsets? What specific thoughts, emotions, and actions are you going to have, be, and do differently in the future? Specifically, where will you go from here and what will you do? All right, so I want you to go ahead and complete that exercise, and I will see you in the next session. And we'll see you there. Take care.